Welcome back to a new episode of the Backyard Fabricator.
Since you were last with us, we've had Matt Torian here in the shop, helping us mount our brand new Harman Racing fuel cell. And then we also took a little field trip down to Swayaway and picked up all the shocks for our race truck.
We've also done a lot of fabrication since then, starting in the back. We finished off the rear cage, including mounting our Harman Racing cell, dual Optima batteries held down by Desert Lab dual battery boxes. Moving on into the cab, where we finished off all the caging. We've also mounted our PRP racing seats with custom Desert TV logo embroidered into them. All right, so today in our garage, we've got the legend, Jeff Balzone.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Jeff's been nice enough to come out to the shop. Last time you saw Jeff, we were at his shop, Garden Grove, California, Giant Motorsports. So what are we doing here today?
Today we're gonna line up all the new parts you got from us and show you some tricks and install it.
Rock and roll. Let's get started and pay attention because this is the man that'll help you put it together quickly. All right, Jeff. We got all of our parts lined up, ready to go. What's our next step?
Next step, before we put anything on, we gotta make sure everything's cleared off the frame, all the old rivets and bucket and the brackets. Get ready with a flat surface for our new mounting points.
All right, Jeff. Looks like we've got our frame pretty much cleared and ready to go to fit our first piece. What's the first piece we're gonna fit?
The first piece we're gonna fit up is the driver's side beam pivot.
Okay, Jeff. We have two beam pivots here. I noticed that they're both slightly different. One has one leg that kind of goes in with the step on it, and then one has two legs that goes in. What's the difference between the two?
The difference is that these two areas will go into the passenger side cross member in the middle, where this only grabs one side of the driver's side cross member.
Great, so this is our next piece.
Yep.
All right, how's it go on?
We just slide it right up, put it in place. And you just slide it up into the frame rail until it's cupped on the bottom, flat on the surface, and then slid forward enough to where it fits the same shape as the frame. What you could do to mount these things temporarily is just put some C-clamps or channel locks or something to hold them up into place. And then just, you want to cup the backside surface and be flat with the top surface, and then you can hit these holes and suck this plate in to the cross member later.
Okay, Jeff, so now we have our beam pivot in place, kind of held into place by some clamps. What's our next step?
Next step, drill in all your points and fasten it down.
So do we just mark our points and then come back with the drill, or do we just go straight through the bracket?
What you could do is you can go to town and just hit all your holes with the 1/2-inch bit just a little bit, and then you can knock it down to a smaller size to punch the holes all the way through and then enlarge as you go. In our case, we use a rotor broach. It's like a mini hole saw. And we just kind of hit a quarter way through the thickness of the metal. And what you can do at this point, pull the bracket off and finish your holes. All right, good deal.
So we got our bolts, Jeff.
Caps. We need these dogs.
All right, Jeff, what type of nut and bolt is required to mount the bracket?
Grade 8 hardware is good. On the brackets, we use all 1/2-inch diameter, maybe 1 inch long, and try and get some sort of locking nut on there, preferably like a metal locking nut.
All right, Jeff, we got our bolts into place, tightened loosely. What's our next step?
Next step, I got this area clamped down into the cross member. Ford has always been very sloppy on where the hole positions are on these cross members, and they vary between each vehicle. So I like to clamp it down and get it close so you can start drilling out the rest of the holes in the inner part.
Sounds good. Should we drill them out?
Yep.
You have the washer?
No, we're good. Look at that. Equal length. Meaning same length.
So we got the driver's side mounted. Now we're going to move over to the passenger side. Jeff, what is the next step we need to do?
The next step, we'll slide the bracket up into place and it fits between the cross member on this side, so make sure you get in between there.
I noticed that this isn't flush against the frame rails. Is there something we need to remove?
Yeah, you know, if you don't know your area where you need to clean up, you know, let the bracket tell you what is needed behind it. It looks like we got a couple rivets here and here, and underneath we got 2 rivets we need to punch out here and here. So I like to mark those so you don't forget when you go grab your grinder, so you can see what you're hitting.
Perfect. I'm gonna get rid of those guys right now.
If you ever find yourself where you don't have an answer, the answer's there just waiting. You just got to find the answer. Put the bracket there, see how everything lines up, see if anything's in your way.
She said, but still hasn't come true.
You can always find answers within the parts in the vehicle.
Doesn't work with women.
Come on. This bracket lines up a lot cleaner than the other side, so there's a lot less guesswork. Libor, go get the hardware. We need more. Your box ran out. All right, we just wrapped up the Giant Motorsports bolt-on beam pivots. Everything's nailed down in place. Cool little trick we always do racing. Anytime one guy tightens a piece of hardware, you put an X in it. Just in case you miss one, you know which ones you missed for later. And then after this, we'll just slide the beam underneath, hang the beam, and then work on the passenger side radius arm. Oh yeah. Now that we got all the arms on the thing, you can cycle it because one key aspect is clearancing. So let's take a look. And obviously we're too far forward with the radius arm because it's starting to get into the cross member and the pivot here, and it'll hit. So what you got to do is move the radius arm pivot back a little bit and suck in the Heim a couple threads so you get proper clearance here. And it clears. You want enough clearance here so the beam would never run into the nut. Now we're just going to ratchet together so we can collapse the suspension and hold it at full bump. Here's a little ratchet trick. Put the ratchet, put the angle to where it's like just slightly pulling down. That way you can pull, but it still holds tension. Pull more and it still holds tension. So it's a little trick. So you get her at full bump. What you can do is you can take some measurements from your center joint back to some key spots on the frame. Maybe find a matching hole further back on the frame, a hole that would match on the other side, so you got some referencing points. The front of our joint opening, we're at 74 and a 16th, it looks like. So you take 74 and a 16th, set up that beam and radius arm, and adjust the radius arm Heim to match the same wheelbase as this side. We got the radius arm pivot clamped into place temporarily in case we need to position that a little bit. We'll go ahead and bolt up the beam to the radius arm and slide the radius arm into the pivot point so we can go do our measurement. like you need to go forward. Right off the bat, already can see race arm hits the cross member, and our measurement is probably a little short, so we gotta go a little long with everything. $74.25.
So that's it for this episode of the Backyard Fabricator.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for coming out and helping us install this front race kit.
Yes,
I'm pretty
sir.
stoked to put it to the test. I know that Libor is ready too. So that's it. Catch us next time at www.deserttv.com.